Alright, how's it going, you guys? I just wanted to post a training video sharing some copywriting tips that I've learned over the years. And by no means am I an expert when it comes to copywriting, because I believe that copywriting is a skill that you are continuously learning and practicing. So I hope this video is going to be valuable for somebody who is brand new to copywriting, or people who just don't really have an idea on what to write in their emails, their sales newsletters, or just in their content that they're posting on social media. So yeah, any questions that you have, feel free to drop them below this video, and let me just get right into it. So basically, let me first start off by explaining what copywriting is. So copywriting is rearranging words to make things sell better. It's a form, usually in text, of salesmanship. So this can be used in emails, sales letters, and also in video format. A lot of people tend to think that copywriting only applies to a written format, but copywriting is something that is also applied to in a video. So if you're ever scrolling, let's say on TikTok, for example, and you see somebody who says something that really catches your attention, that is a form of copywriting. They're using something called a hook to grab your attention, which is going to get your pretty much make you curious to learn more about what they're talking about, which ends in you watching the whole video. So copywriting also applies to a video format. So important things to basically keep in mind if you're looking to get better at copywriting is to practice. Basically, you have to practice. It's a skill that you have to learn. Nobody is born good at copywriting. It's something that we have to learn and we have to practice in order to get better at. Focus on the benefits, not the features of whatever you're trying to sell, whether it's your product or service. Talk about the benefits, how your product or service is going to benefit them and solve a problem that your ideal customer is dealing with. Your customers don't really care about the features. Yeah, they sound nice. They might sound nice to you, but your customers don't really care about that. Your customers tend to have the mindset of what's in it for me and how can this product or service solve a problem that I'm currently dealing with. Tip number 3 is to maintain controversial copy. So this is something that always gets attention. Something that, let's say, for example, politics. It's always going to be a controversial topic because people tend to have a strong belief one way or another. So if you talk about something that's controversial, you're going to get people's attention regardless. So yeah, maintain controversial copy, but I mean, you don't want to go too far where it's going to basically like make you look like the bad guy or something like that. Tell stories whenever possible. Now, good marketing is all about storytelling. And something that I've learned is you don't want to make a point without telling a story, and you don't want to tell a story without making a point. So good copywriting typically has storytelling involved in it. And also doing competitor research. People who are great copywriters, I would recommend you opt into their email list and see what type of emails that they're sending out to the people on their list. And that'll give you an idea of what good copywriting is. And master the subject matter. So whatever your niche is, whatever your industry is, you want to become a master in that industry so you can really write good copy. So here's a tool that I use when it comes to email copywriting. It's a free tool that you can use. It's called Omnisend Subject Line Tester, and let me actually show you what it looks like. So if you just go to Google and you type in Omnisend Subject Line Tester, it's going to be it should be the very first search result. So when you click on that, this is basically a box where you can enter in your subject line for an email that you're going to send out. So let's say I want to enter in this headline right here as a subject line for one of my emails. The #1 book to grow your business. So all I have to do is enter that subject line in, and then I'm going to click on test now, and then it's going to give me a score out of 100. So 92 out of 100 is a pretty good score, and it actually breaks down on how or why it's giving you that score. So basically, the character count, it has 33 characters in this title. You don't want to make your character or your subject line too long. It has 7 words, which is a little bit too much for a word count, and helpful words. So apparently the word "your" is considered a helpful word. It doesn't contain any negative words, so you want to stay typically away from negative words when it comes to a subject line. And using numbers in your subject line tends to get you a higher score. And yeah, basically that's pretty much it. something that's going to be short and easily read when somebody is scrolling through their emails. Because you have to realize, if you're sending out an email to the people on your list, they're getting probably dozens or even hundreds of emails every day. So having a subject line that's going to stand out, capture their attention, and it's not going to be too long, that's more likely to get your emails opened from the people who are on your email list. So this is basically a preview of how your subject line would show up in somebody's inbox. So going back to the presentation, when it comes to email marketing, the open rates are typically 20% for the industry standard. So if you're getting a 20% open rate for your emails, that's pretty good. If you're above that percentage, that's even better. So the higher percentage of people who are opening up your emails, the better. And the click-through rate is typically the industry standard, from people who are opening up your emails to the people who are clicking on your link. 2% is a pretty decent click-through rate. Anything above that, like I mentioned, is pretty good. Anything below that is something that you need to improve on. So if you're sending out emails to the people on your list, and basically your email open rates are pretty low, that just means you have a lot of people who are not engaging with your emails. So that typically means you should probably remove them from your list, because it can hurt your open rates. Or you can just improve on your copywriting skills by practice and just basically opting into other great copywriters' email list. And some tips for crafting copy around a story. So this goes to a popular book that I highly recommend, called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And it's typically a 6-step formula. So creating copy around a story usually contains a character, and that character has a problem. And at the peak of their despair, they find a guide, somebody who's going to help them overcome failure and reach success, or not. Basically, that guide gives them a plan and calls them to action. And typically, their journey ends in success and helps them avoid failure. So if you think about any great movies, this is basically the whole plot of any great movie. Star Wars, The King's Speech, and plenty of other movies. There's usually a character that has a problem, and basically they find a guide that shows them the way to overcome their problem. Now, when it comes to copywriting, 10 questions to ask is, how is this different from everything else that I've seen? You have to put yourself in your customer's mind, basically. Like I mentioned, your customers are in the mindset of, what's in it for me? How is this going to benefit me? So some questions that your customer have in the back of their mind is, how is this different from everything else that I've seen? What's in it for me? Hey, that sounds familiar. How do I know that this is real? What's holding me back? And who or what is to blame for my current problem or situation? And why now? Why should I start now? Why should I trust you? And how does this work? How can I get started? And what do I have to lose? So these are all questions that you should answer or be considering when you're writing copy, because these are questions that are going to be in your target customer's mind when they're seeing your copywriting, your video, your content, whatever it is. So people tend to have their guards up, because these are always in the back of their mind. Let's say, for example, you're selling a product and it's an expensive product. Some people might consider question number 10, what do I have to lose? They can lose a lot of money. They might feel basically like stupid investing all this money into a product that is not going to get them any results, or it's not going to be good at all. So these are always good questions to keep in mind whenever you're writing copy. And the know, like, and trust factor, or the KLT factor. Basically, you want to get your audience, target customers, to know, like, and trust you. So what's being said matters less than who is saying it and how it's said. So a lot of people tend to say the same generic things when they're selling their product or service. But what really matters is the person who's saying it and how they're saying it. People tend to, like I said, buy from other people instead of buy from companies. So if somebody feels like they know, like, and trust you, then they're more likely to purchase something that you're offering to them. Oh, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. Yeah, so I just covered that. And you can't imitate or copy another great copywriter or salesperson. So if you just straight up try to copy exactly what somebody else is saying as for like copywriting an email. If you know it doesn't sound like you, it's not authentic, it's basically it's not how you talk, like basically in your everyday conversation, it's going to come off as inauthentic. You must write and create copy in a way that feels good to you. People want to open up emails and read, they don't want to read ads. They want to hear stories from you, basically. That's a part of the know, like, and trust factor. Sharing your story, just even talking about what you did in during your day. You know, how you went to the market, you went to the gym, and basically, if you can tie that into your product somehow, let's say, for example, I'm writing an email saying that I went to the gym today. I was working out. I was working up a sweat. It was an intense workout. And after feeling exhausted, I looked at my phone and I saw that I made a high ticket commission because I have an automated system set up so that I can create a semi-passive income. That can be, let's say, that can be an email that I write to the people on my list. And lastly, loosen up and be you. Like I mentioned, you want to incorporate your personal story in your copy because that creates a connection between you and your audience. So just make sure to have fun with your content and basically, yeah, your copywriting. One thing to keep in mind is to identify the pain point, struggle, the worry, and anxiety that your target audience is dealing with. You want to massage their pain point, just dig in and make them feel it. Just like if you think about it like a bruise or something, you just want to kind of like massage that bruise so it kind of like you're bringing up that pain point and addressing it and just letting your audience know that, hey, this is something that has to be addressed. This is something that you should take care of. And that's basically what the whole point of is massaging like a pain point that your target audience is dealing with. Showing empathy. Basically, that shows that you actually care about your customer's problem. Telling them, hey, it's not your fault, or I understand where you're coming from. I know how you feel. Showing empathy can actually get you to see a lot of results, basically. And also the solution. How can you solve their problem? Let me see if I can think of like a pain point off the top of my head. So a problem can be somebody who is sick and tired of their job. They're working 60 hours a week and they barely have any time to spend with their family. That would be the problem. Now, me massaging that problem is, hey, I know you're working 60 hours a week. You're exhausted. You don't have any time or energy to spend with your family. And before you know it, your kids are going to be grown and off to college. And those are moments that you're never, ever going to be able to get back. I understand how you feel. And trust me, there's a lot of people in your situation. It's not your fault. Now, the way that you can solve that is by learning high income skills that you can use and create a passive income and eventually replace your 9 to 5 job. And you can do this all by working from home. So that's just an example I just came up off the top of my head. So that's something else to keep in mind when it comes to copywriting and telling your story. A good way to connect with your audience is to tell your story. People love to hear about a rags to riches story, an underdog story. People don't like to just hear a story about somebody who's just complaining, like everything bad in the world is happening to them and only them. Like, I lost my job today. Yesterday, my car got stolen. My dog has depression. Basically, I don't know what to do. That's a pretty depressing story. But people are more gravitated to a rags to riches story, or somebody who has lost it all, gained it all, and now they're living a better life. So an example that I talk about in like my typical email sequence when somebody opts into my list is I talk about how I used to work a job that I hated. I was working as a tow truck driver for about 10 years and I got sick and tired of it. I was pretty much living paycheck to paycheck. So that's what actually led me to look for other ways to make some extra money. And that's how I discovered affiliate marketing. Now that's only like a base, like I didn't really go in too much into detail about my story. And I never really shared this about my story, but I can go even further back. When I was 18 years old, I got kicked out and I was pretty much homeless for a little while. And I was living in a motel for about 6 years, basically. And I felt like at that point, I didn't have the option of like, I didn't really have the choice of like going to college to learn, to get a degree, basically. I had to find a job because I had bills to pay. I was on my own pretty much. I was actually supporting my mom at the time, who was pretty much disabled. She was waiting to get approved for SSI, so I felt all that pressure was on me just to pay the bills. Now, that story is that's actually a true story, and that's really powerful, and people can relate to that because that's more of an underdog story. How I pretty much like I was homeless, I had nothing, and then I pretty much worked and I invested into myself, and I learned skills that actually can get you out of the 9 to 5 job. So that's a powerful story, and I know a lot of people tend to think that they don't have a story or their story is not that interesting. Your story doesn't have to be this big gigantic soap opera. All you can talk about is just basically some of the pain points that you went through, the struggles that you've been through in life. Even if you're not where you want to be in your life right now, you can just talk about your journey and tell people to follow you along your journey. And just tell them, hey, I'm determined to reach this goal. This is something that I'm working towards every day. And just follow me on my journey to see my progress. So it can be something as simple as that. I hope you got some value from this video. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to drop them down in the comments below this video. And if you're struggling, if you need help, feel free to reach out to me. Now, if you're watching this video on YouTube and you want to get access to my Facebook group where I'm helping people who are learning affiliate marketing or who are struggling, I'm going to leave a link for that in the description of this video. So with that being said, I'll see you in the next one.